Absolutely pumped after that intro every time.
I'm loving it. The more I hear it, the more I love the music. It's absolutely brilliant.
How are you, man?
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Busy and good. I think I'm ready for a break. Definitely ready for
Yeah,
a break. Can feel
me
the
too.
build,
Yeah.
that way, the emotional build. It
Yeah.
it's finishing strong, or it's finishing busy, put it that way.
Yeah. And you've got your Reviva on Friday, haven't you?
Friday, yeah. So that's sort of a culmination of 7 years work, really, in a 3 hour interview. So that'll be like 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. So I'm really
3 hours, is it?
Yeah, so it's like a 45-minute presentation from 3 o'clock, and then that's a live presentation. It's open on Zoom to different staff members and stuff like that. And then the following 2 hours up until 6 o'clock. So after that, up until 6 o'clock is like an interview where they just grill me on different elements of it.
Very good, yeah. Wilson, best of luck with that. Anyway,
cheers, man. Yeah, cheers. It'll be should be fun and nerve wracking in sense, man.
Yeah, well, hopefully, I think you can if you get it straight, kind of just a pass. Is that what they call it? Or then that means you've no revisions to do, and you'll sleep well over Christmas. I'd say.
Yeah, so it's basically passed with no revisions. Now that's like ridiculously rare. I don't think it actually happens. So I think the more general thing is you pass with small revisions, then it's passed with large revisions, and then it's like you don't get it.
Right. Okay. So the chances are you will have just a little bit of work to do in 2022, probably.
Yeah, I'm positive minded, so you never know.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, well, we'll check in. We'll have a fun check in next week, and we'll see how you get on.
Definitely, man. That should be fun. How's it finishing up here for yourself this year?
Good. Yeah. Again, a strong finish, busy finish again. I haven't got to all my actions this week, because of that. But I can see the end is in sight. I'd say my last kind of live delivery was yesterday.
Lovely.
So I can almost start now to wind down and hopefully get around to my planning for 2022 properly in the next week or so. So yeah, it's been a strong finish, a nice finish to the year, but definitely looking forward to winding down and Christmas and holidays and all that kind of stuff.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's funny. I didn't get near me plans for this year either. I mean, 2022 planning, but I didn't actually have it on my list, funnily enough, which I don't know why that wasn't on the list. So that was pretty cool. I was delighted with that. I actually got a 3 out of 3, but I haven't gotten near the plans. That's the problem.
Right. Yeah. Well, it wasn't on your list. So
it wasn't on the list. Luckily enough, I must have had a bit of foresight there.
What were your 3? You got your 3 done?
So the 3 team was the Viva prep. So I'm in a really good position for the Viva prep now. So I'm obviously tomorrow I'm teaching in Trinity tomorrow, but I'm going to come home from that prep for the rest of the evening and then spend all day Friday just a final prep, another reread of the methods of the thesis, and go through a few other things, sort of the questions I might be asked, just to have the conversation in my head to really prepare myself for that. So, but I got loads of prep in this week. Was delighted with that. Have all my slides done. Very cool set of slides done as well. So I'm delighted with that. Nailed that. Plan for the mentorship program for the kids in Tala as well. That was I got that into place. I have that ready to go. Very loose plan in terms of not much detail in it, but we have the framework of what we're going to do. So we're in a very good position. I have another chat with them on Tuesday next week, and then we're going to start hitting that big time in the new year. So looking very promising. So that was the number 2 I hit on the list, and then the third one, which was networking with Q2 work, and had the lunch in chapter 1 last week, which was really, really nice, with a couple of friends in high places, I suppose, if you want to put it that way, who are running businesses. But I was really able to intermix the networking thing with having a good time, and also, like I was asking these, if the work happens in Tala, where we have these kids coming through the project working on their soft skills like emotion regulation, then we're going to help them with the practical skills like learn how to communicate, lifting courses, all these different basic things. But then I was chatting to these guys as well and saying, like, if we find a few diamonds in the rough and kind of an idea, like kids that want to go on to that level or go into a company, they're going to give them opportunities.
Fantastic.
So really nice mixing all of that together. So I nailed the 3 things last week, just as well I didn't have the 2022 plan on, because that's a monster. That's going to be I'll be struggling to get that done in 2021, to be quite honest. That's the reality of it.
I hear I'm in the same boat. I had it down on my list again. That's probably 3 or 4 weeks in a row, and look, I'd say maybe did I get 10%, 20% of it, something like that. I made progress on it, but it's not a specific goal. I should have it in some kind of smart format, which I don't. But I don't know. I got 10% of it. I worked on it anyway, but I think, like yourself, I'll be working on that for the next couple of weeks, just keeping it ticking over. The other things, and I had my final webinar of the year was yesterday. So delighted with that. We had Chris Flack on from Unplugged, so it was a great chat with Chris. So
Lovely.
that's done. That's going to be the last live Work Well webinar of the year. And the other thing I had on my list was to close out the invoices for the year. So that's maybe halfway through that. So still a few hanging around.
That's not an enjoyable task. It really isn't.
No, chasing invoices. Yeah. So, but that'll roll into next week. But look, it's there. It's half done. The back is broken on it. So
super. So you hit them all, just not full pelt on each one.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you know what that brings me to as well, Brian? I'm just started thinking, like, are we going too big with the plans? Are we getting too deep with the plans? Because I think it's quite fascinating that we're both really struggling with the plans. And in comparison to other people, I would imagine that we have a good idea of what we're about and what we want to do next year. Or could it just be an element of we're planning too much, or there's too much choice? Maybe we both need to implement something just to cut the head off this problem, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things there. Maybe we probably should have started this a bit earlier in the year. We should probably be doing that. It maybe we've too much on. We're looking at too much.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we're missing this kind of. I was searching for this kind of really simplified business plan for 2022. Couldn't really find one that suited, so I've kind of just made up on my own, and I'm kind of working through it. So yeah, there's a bit there, all right. Yeah, there's something there, and I would say certainly in my case, I'm not making the goal. You know, I've got down here brainstorm and plan for 2022. Like I did that, I just didn't do a whole lot of it. I didn't do enough. I'm not finished.
Or execute the rest of it or whatever.
It's not specific enough. It's not a SMART goal. So I should really be looking at breaking that up into chunks.
Yeah.
Q1 communications plan or marketing plan, revenue plan, whatever you want to call it, for 2022. That's getting specific there. That's what I could potentially break it out as.
Yeah, definitely. I think we'll have to revisit this ourselves. Maybe we'll have a phone call over the Christmas on this one.
Maybe we'll get someone on. We'll get some business mentor on or something to talk us through it early in 2022.
Could be a nice. That could be a nice one. That could be a nice one. Jerry Duffy came to mind there for some reason. He's all about the goal setting and the planning. Maybe we could have a get.
Jerry's good, isn't he? Yeah.
He's really good. He's really good. Tell me, and you know what? This really hooks into what we're saying. We've so much to do, prioritizing for next year and stuff like that. And what our chat about today is the future of the accountability habit. Where are we going to go with this? Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure is the answer. So I'm really just interested to chat about it today. I think we started it, and I think it's important to remember why we started it or why we went live with it. We were already doing it, so it was keeping us accountable. It is just a weekly check-in. Are we hitting our goals? Keeping ourselves accountable, keeping ourselves honest, keeping ourselves on track. So that's the foundation of it. So we are actually doing that 100%. But I think by going live, we were thinking, can we encourage others? Can we keep others accountable or encourage them to be accountable, maybe to somebody else or to ourselves? Maybe that part of it we haven't properly bottomed out.
Yeah.
It's really for us, isn't it, as opposed to anyone else?
Definitely, and I think that's what we touched on. I think it's important to note, like we had a chat beforehand, and we says, right, we didn't think of this. This is going to be a meta conversation in vivo as it goes. And I think you said when we were talking about discussing this as a topic, I think there's something that you touched on last week that I think made a lot of sense. Is what's the function of it? What's the purpose of it? Why are we doing it? And I think we done this for a few years before we actually start doing it live. So we were always, I think we were meeting bi-weekly. Was it every 2 weeks? Weren't we?
That's right.
Yeah, every 2 weeks, keeping each other accountable. That could be an option. Maybe going back to that, because relating to the plan for next year, one of my problems is basically what do I prioritize, because I have so many things to do. So it's like when you says what's the purpose of this, and I say, right, well, the purpose for me was really helping me to prioritize, helping me to stay accountable. We'd chat with each other, we'd share ideas, and I was working really, really well. So from a very self-centered perspective, it was working really, really well for me. So when we decided to launch this live, I was thinking, right, let's do a podcast kind of thing and talk about topics, and we get viewers in. And I don't think it was never supposed to be that. It was supposed to be about accountability, and it's supposed to be us checking in and live. So I think we struggled to specify exactly what it was, and I think that could have been one of the problems with it, even though in terms of providing value for other people.
So what do you think then in terms of timing? First of all, are you thinking maybe a fortnight, going back to the original fortnightly setup might help in that regard.
Maybe that could be a thing. And I know we done this based on the LinkedIn Live idea as well, but I think it's like, if you if one of the goals is to get numbers and to help as many people and try to provide value for as many people as we can, hitting people in the middle of the day, I think that was a potential problem. So maybe doing it as just a recording that people can tap into. But then the one thing that really jumps out at me, if we can make it work, taking into account that we both have really busy schedules for next year, is how could we create something that could help other people to be accountable. So off the top of my head, something I'm thinking about would be, imagine we had 10 people on here and they tell us the 3 things that they're going to have done for next year. So we could just check in with people and say, here, did you get that done? Now, is that a big discussion? Is that a half an hour thing? Is that something you would even do live, or is that like a mentorship accountability group that you could do? So there's
a mastermind style group.
Mastermind style. So what that isn't even particularly live. So I think the first thing we have to do, I think that the bi-weekly thing, I think worked better. If I was thinking about it, that's only had to come to me now as we bring it up in conversation. So I think the bi-weekly thing worked better. And then the big decision is, are we going live, and how are we going to get other people involved? I think that's a big aspect of it.
I'm okay with the bi-weekly. It might even help us focus if we set this clear targets 2 weeks in advance. And really aim for them. We can aim to really take care of them. Plus, I like the idea of going live. I mean, I think that was another thing we did. We just said, look, it's new enough technology from LinkedIn to LinkedIn Live. Let's give that a go as well, which we're just kind of learning about as we go. I like that idea. Plus, while it's live, it goes out live, so people can join us live if they're free. It also automatically records it, so it's there for people if they want to watch it back. We can get the link on whatever it goes out on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. We can have a link on whatever format people want, so we can actually share it with them there as well, the recording of it. One thing we haven't been doing, I haven't anyway, is sharing the replay for anyone that might be interested. So I've been almost keeping it as a secret, really. The odd time I've announced it, it's been upcoming maybe twice to my community. I've been kind of keeping it under wraps. Haven't promoted it a whole lot. Trying to keep it kind of low key for starters while we were kind of figuring it out.
I always shared it on my newsletter. But what I found was, when we were doing it at first, we were talking about a specific topic. So let's say at the very start, I think we done communicating at one stage. So that was a topic. So anyone interested in communicating can jump in on that call, because it's going to provide value for them. It's our thoughts on that. So the idea that I was thinking, if we're just doing it around keeping each other accountable, if there's not a topic, what's sharing it to other people? What is the value? What are we telling people they are going to get from this? So if it's going to be all about accountability, do we have to get people on board and involved with the actual conversation as we go along? Or if it's not going to be like that, and we're trying to sell it as providing value for people, what is the topic? What's the hook? What's going to get people in,
And on that, like let's say we're talking about communications, let's say that was one. Like we're not communication experts. We're experts in our own business and how we communicate, but we're not, for somebody starting out might learn something from the mistakes we've made. Certainly that was kind of the idea, wasn't it? We're not here to tell you the A to Z of communicating in your business. It was just, look, here's what we've done, here's what we do, here's some lessons learned kind of thing. So there's definitely that. So do you feel having a specific topic is important, or are you leaning more towards like an accountability kind of building up a bit of a tribe or something, or trying to encourage others in some way as well?
It's funny because, as I said, we hadn't even thought or discussed this in too much detail, and there's really 3 things that jump out at me. So there was the original thing that we were doing, keeping each other accountable, and me and you were getting huge value from that all along. That worked really, really well. And I would say, if anything, by us going live, we probably lost a little bit of that, because it was about the live thing. It was something being added to that as well. I think the third option would be, and I don't know whether this goes offline or stays online, I'm not even too sure, this kind of mentorship group where we could discuss with people in Zoom calls or even meet up at some stage. And I think bi-weekly would be too much, maybe be once a month, once a quarter, where we could get a group to join in with us and we're all keeping each other accountable and say, here's our goals, this is what I'm going to do. And then we could jump into a discussion each and say, right, this is what I done, this is how it fell apart, this is how it worked. And we're all keeping each other accountable and sharing our findings from the journeys that we're on. And I don't know if that would go live necessarily. And maybe I could be wrong about this, but if we're keeping it alive and we're keeping it in the podcast style, maybe, I don't know. I'm thinking, first of all, maybe to be able to sell it, we need to have a hook, like a concept to grab people in. But then I just thought, Joe Rogan doesn't do that. He just has conversations. And then I just thought, we're not Joe Rogan. we haven't got millions of followers. So that's where my mind has gone in the last 10 minutes. So it's a funny one to think about. We were talking about live things next year. Like at some stage we do a live topic because I think accountability is absolutely crucial. And in terms of like forgetting about entrepreneurial, it's been about entrepreneurial accountability, but even just self-discipline and accountability for your personal lifestyle with exercise, with morning routines, with whatever it is, with your relationships, be accountable for yourself. It's huge, like, you know?
Yeah. So I think we're definitely leaning towards the bi-weekly. So we think we have our timing there. It's just we're missing the hook, as you said. So it started out as our accountability habit. So how do we either one make it accountable to others as well, or support them in being accountable by tuning in, or is it with a specific topic in mind where we're talking about how some challenges we've faced or something like that, and bringing in guests as well? We should probably look at bringing in guests.
That's another thing as well. That's another thing as well. That could be a nice option, because I know at the very start we always talked about like we hadn't got the expertise. We're experts of our own business, but we hadn't got the expertise in any particular topic that we were discussing on this. So maybe that could be another idea going forward, that we bring in a guest expert and that provides the topic, that provides interest for others. We're still getting something now, but the accountability stuff is still there. But I'm wondering if there's another mechanism to get people, like, I'm sure the stuff online where people have accountability kind of strategies where people keep each other accountable, that it's not heavily time consuming. Like maybe that's something we need to look into.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that one. All right. So I don't think that's something we're going to solve today, is it?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Stewing over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. I think this conversation, I think myself and yourself, we're about excited about this because we're just doing it on the fly. We're just seeing how it goes. It's like, it's the nature of what it's about, like, you know?
Yeah. I think we've definitely learned a lot though. So it's been interesting getting up to speed on LinkedIn Live. I'm using the thing called Restream, playing around with that. So it means it goes out on LinkedIn. It goes out. It's actually on Twitter now. As I added Twitter there last week. Don't know if I even told you that. YouTube and then Facebook as well. So it goes out on all those platforms at the same time. It also, as well, we could, if you wanted to ramp things up, when we have the full idea nailed, we could publish it as a proper podcast as well, because we get the audio files out of it as well as the video. So you could be going down that route as well. Whether you want to do that or not, I don't know. That's adding extra work there for somebody to kind of tidy up the files, publish them, get them up on all the different platforms, that kind of idea. So there's a little bit of work there if you want to go down that route.
Yeah.
But I don't think you do that until you have nailed kind of the foundations first.
I think something that just jumped into my head there as well, it's nearly like people love stories. We love stories of other people, and we love the hero's journey, and we love failures. Like, we love epic failures. Let's be honest, human beings love epic failures. I think it could be interesting to get other entrepreneurs on, whether it was failures, whether it was successes, like have them on, come and tell their entrepreneurial journey of what they did. So that could be another, instead of bringing in experts to talk about what to do, here's the go, like bring in the lived experiences of people that have tried to be entrepreneurs, have succeeded, have failed, and that could be another angle. That really interests me, actually. That's a hook for me straight away, you know?
Me too, yeah. I love that idea, because how is that the accountability habit then as well? Well, we're asking the guests to come in and tell us how they've been accountable kind of from their business perspective? Is it like from an entrepreneurial perspective?
We've a lot of moving parts here. It was like as when you talked about the podcast, it's like do you know what? I'm upset. I'm all over marketing at the minute. My big plan over the Christmas before I'm taking a week break after Christmas. But the big plan for me is going to be around marketing. What is the hook? Why should people care? This is the thing for me. Why should people care?
Why.
Yeah, start with why. Why should people care about what we're doing? Like, what is the value we're actually providing? And I do think people care about stories. They care about the personal journeys. So if we're going to have to hook something into the accountability habit, it's like, why do people care? And I think people want to be accountable. That's why they care. They're struggling with their own accountability. They're letting things slip, especially nowadays with COVID and stuff. So why will people care about listening to this? Well, we're going to help them to be accountable. And I suppose that's the one thing that I always come back to. But then is that going to be too much of a big job in that for next year? So I do.
How would you encourage that? Like, let's say if there was 10 people joined and they wanted to share their top 3 as well, targets for next week or next fortnight. Even the half an hour we have, like, you won't have time to go through that.
Not even close.
Yeah. So how do you kind of keep an eye on that, or keep that person, that individual accountable? Is there some kind of online tracker or something where people fill out that kind of idea?
That could be a thing. That could be a thing. So people just join, and then people just join.
It's an open. It's just like a Google sheet maybe, and people can you put in your targets, your 3 targets, and then you click yourself. You go in that morning of the show, and you click green or orange or red. This kind of idea.
And I think a huge part of accountability, I don't know where I heard of this, but I often tell people what I'm going to do to put pressure on myself. Yeah. It's like public and social accountability. And so it'd be like if people wanted to come in where we say, where this is what, so how can we make that public? Because if somebody's faceless on a Google file, on a Google Doc, they're kind of faceless as well, that way. So it's not really hooking into the accountability. So something has to be on the line for you to be accountable for. So for someone, let's say a third person coming on here and saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. They publicly come on and says that they're going to have to hold themselves accountable for what they says they're going to do. So it's trying to create that momentum. Like me and you are accountable to each other. So we've helped each other along on the journey. So I want to do what I say I'm going to do to hold myself accountable for what I told you I'm going to do, and there's a mutual respect there. So it's back to maybe the accountability partners. Maybe if we had a group and we pair people up to be self-accountable with each other to recreate what we have with ourselves.
There's something there, all right. So I think that's what we need to explore more over the coming weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, that could be interesting. Imagine bringing pairing people up to be self-accountable with each other, and then bringing both people on, getting their sides of the story, how it worked. And that could be really bringing the entrepreneurial journey into it with the self-accountability stuff in it as well.
And we could hear a little bit about the others' businesses as well.
Yeah.
I think one of the main reasons for me getting involved with this, or that I love the idea of this, was the community that I have, the Workwell community. 70%, so the majority of the community is made up of HR, senior leaders, people who are internal in organizations, whereas 30% are service providers, either individuals, self-employed, or small businesses. So, and I felt they were actually the really underserved population in my community, because a lot of what I promote and the services I provide are for the larger organizations. So I wanted to do something almost to serve the smaller business, the self-employed people, of which I am one. So that was kind of the thinking behind it. So giving back to those guys in some way, getting them on to talk a little bit, to share a story or two about their business and their challenges and their successes. I think there's something there.
Yeah, and it brings me all back to this idea of people's attention, and people are just so busy. I've never seen people as busy as they are right now, and I'm sure it's especially the same with entrepreneurs as well. And if an entrepreneur isn't busy, it's chances are they're not keeping themselves accountable. So, and you don't want to shine the light on your lack of accountability by watching an accountability podcast when you're not being accountable either. Like, it goes hand in hand. So it's back to this, like, getting eyes on this. Like, if we want to, I know you like the live part of this, but it's like, what purpose is that serving. Maybe we need to focus on the recorded element of it and get that out to people rather than the live session. So I think there's a couple of elements we need to look into. Obviously, we'll need to have another discussion about this. But yeah, this is really turned and has me thinking on it. So this could be interesting to see where we bring it next year.
Live versus. So I'm just taking a few notes anyway.
Yeah.
So we've got the bi-weekly we're talking about. How do you get the accountability piece for the audience?
Yeah.
And then
the hook, the value. Why will people care?
Yeah, the hook, the why. And then live versus recording. I just think the fact that it's live, but it's been recorded anyway. But anyway, we'll come back to that.
We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. Yeah. So what's the plans for the final week?
Yeah, fine. We'll do one more next week. Look, we'll have a really relaxed chat next week. I'll be wearing a Santa hat anyway on the 22nd.
I'll have a look for one. I don't know if there's any hair.
7 or 8 here. Building up over the last few years. Yeah, so not going to kill myself this week. Christmas shopping is number 1 on my list. Well, closing it off. I've got a good bit done, but want to get that out of the way by the 22nd. My final communications to the community, emails, social media, want to get them done and dusted as well by the 22nd. And then we've got down the brainstorm, continuing that. Another 25% of that want to have done by next week.
Excellent, man. Excellent. For me, so this week it's a lot busier for me now. So I'm going to be finishing off my PhD Viva prep and getting that over the line. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I pass the Viva and I'll get that in the bag. That's the big one.
Yeah.
2022 planning is going to be, I don't know whether I'm going to get much of that done next week, to be quite honest. And I think I'm going to put that in anyway to 2022 plan. But really what the big one for me is, I've really taken me out with the PhD coming in up on top of me. It was just, I had to have a big focus on that. I was running a corporate course with 2 big things that was really focusing on. So I took my eye off the ball for the first time in years off me newsletter. I missed the odd week, sort of purposely, because I'm thinking of going bi-weekly on that as well. So I'm going to send another one out now, just one more before Christmas. And so what I feel I need to do is I need to clear the decks to give me space to get the stuff done. So what I would even say is my number 2 thing is clearing the decks because of all the stuff that's built up over the last few weeks. And then 2022 planner. Or what I would even say, a Christmas planner and a 22 planner, where the Christmas planner, I'm going to clear the decks, prep myself for what I have to do over the Christmas, and inclusive of that will be the 2022 planner. So bit of a 3.5 things to do, really. There. It's a bit complex.
Yeah, no worries. No, good stuff. Well, listen, the big one is the Viva, so best of luck with that on Friday, and look forward to hearing how that went next week. Will you have any kind of a result or an outcome this time next week?
I think they tell you there and then. I think they tell you, right? Yeah, it's there and then. Like you walk out of Viva, whether you know whether you passed or failed.
No way.
Yeah. So Friday night, I'll know.
Yeah.
So if you don't hear from me, I didn't pass.
Right. Okay.
Fingers crossed. I'm hopeful.
Listen, you put in a lot of work, so fingers crossed for a positive outcome.
Excellent, man. Have a good one as well, and I'll chat to you soon, man.
Have a great one. Listen, take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.